Beloved soul, there are moments in your life when the silence of God feels heavier than 1,000 unanswered prayers, and the distance between you and those you once loved feels like an unbearable exile. You sit and wonder why the laughter that used to fill your days has turned to echoes. Why the friends who once held your hand no longer remember your name. Why those who said they would never leave disappeared the moment the storms came. You look at the empty spaces where people once stood and your heart asks, God, why did you take them away? Why did you separate me from everyone I thought I needed? But my dear one, I tell you this today. It was never rejection. It was redirection. It was not abandonment. It was alignment. You were not being punished. You were being positioned. When God chooses you, He also sets you apart, for the chosen are not called to blend in with the crowd. They are carved, refined, and sometimes shattered so that light can break through the cracks. You see, when God has His hand on your life, He does not allow everyone to walk with you. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people were only assigned to your life for a season, not a lifetime. They came to teach, to reveal, to shape, but not to stay. And oh, how painful it can be to let go of what once felt like home. How lonely it feels when familiar faces fade and familiar voices go silent. But understand this: when God removes people, He is not leaving you empty. He is clearing the path for purpose. He is pruning what cannot produce fruit in your next season. Because elevation always requires separation. And before God can lift you higher, He must detach you from the weight that was holding you down. You may not see it now, but those who walked away were part of your preparation. Some people were never meant to carry your anointing. They would have corrupted your calling. Some loved the idea of you, but not the assignment that was buried within you. They were not equipped to handle your depth, your growth, your fire. So God, in His mercy, removed them, not to harm you, but to protect the oil on your life. The chosen cannot walk in purpose while clinging to what God has already dismissed. There are moments when heaven must break your heart to save your destiny. Do not curse the separation. Thank God for it, because the distance that hurt you was also the doorway that freed you. There are conversations you are no longer part of because God silenced them. There are relationships that ended abruptly because God intervened. You may think it was coincidence, but heaven does not move by chance. Every goodbye that felt like grief was really grace in disguise. You did not lose them. You were released from them. Chosen one, hear this truth deep in your spirit: isolation is the incubator of revelation. When you are stripped of everyone and everything familiar, that is when God begins to whisper who you truly are. It is in the quiet that your power awakens. It is in the solitude that your anointing matures. You will not find your purpose in the crowd. You will find it in the wilderness. Because the wilderness is where chosen souls are trained. Moses was hidden in the desert before he led a nation. David was alone with sheep before he faced a giant. Joseph was imprisoned before he sat on a throne. The pattern is divine. Separation precedes elevation. God always isolates before He promotes. Do not rush out of the season of solitude. There is gold in your loneliness. There is strength being forged in your silence. When you cry out to God, "Why me?" He answers, "Because I trusted you with the test." Everyone wants the crown, but few can endure the crushing that comes before it. The chosen must be pressed, misunderstood, rejected, and overlooked, because that is how they learn to depend on God alone. You cannot lead nations while craving validation. You cannot walk in divine authority while seeking approval from those who cannot see your calling. God removed you from certain circles because they were too small for your spirit. He separated you from certain people because their energy could not sustain your destiny. You were trying to explain spiritual things to carnal minds, trying to share dreams with people who had no vision. So God, in His wisdom, closed the door and locked it behind them. Not because you were unworthy of love, but because you were worthy of protection. They could not go with you, because where God is taking you requires purity, humility, and focus. And yes, you will have nights when you feel forgotten. You will have mornings when you wake with tears asking if the pain will ever end. But listen, the loneliness is temporary, and the growth is eternal. What feels like a breaking is actually a birthing. The old version of you had to die so the anointed version could rise. The version that needed people's approval had to perish so that the version that only seeks God's voice could emerge. You are being reborn into purpose, and birth is never painless. The chosen are often misunderstood because they carry what others cannot comprehend. People will call you strange, distant, even cold, not realizing that you are not detached, you are being developed. You are walking through a divine classroom where God Himself is the teacher. And when God teaches, He sometimes uses silence as a lesson. He will remove distractions until the only voice left to hear is His. That is why the chosen walk alone. Because destiny requires focus, and focus demands solitude. There will come a time when you look back on everyone who left, and instead of bitterness, you will feel gratitude. You will thank God that those doors closed, because had they remained open, you would have never discovered your strength. You will see that the rejection that once broke you actually built you. You will understand that those who turned their backs were never your foundation. God was. You will realize that your peace was never tied to their presence. And in that moment, you will stand taller, breathe deeper, and whisper to yourself, "Now I see why God separated me." The chosen are not meant to fit in. You were born to stand out, to rise above, to carry light where darkness thought it had victory. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to be anointed. And the oil on your life demands that you move differently, think differently, and walk differently. The people who left could not understand that, but you do now. You are not lonely, you are set apart, you are not forgotten, you are being fashioned. So lift your head, beloved soul, wipe your tears. You are not behind, you are in training. The wilderness is not your punishment, it is your preparation. And when the time comes, you will emerge with clarity so sharp, faith so strong, and peace so unshakable that the world will wonder how you survived. And you will tell them, "God separated me so I could finally hear Him." There is something sacred about the solitude of the chosen. It teaches you to stop chasing those who walked away and start chasing the one who stayed. It teaches you to stop clinging to people who drain you and start trusting the divine flow of destiny. You will find that you no longer crave company that doesn't feed your spirit. You will stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You will stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. That is what divine separation does. It frees you from needing to be needed. And when God brings new people into your life, those who understand your silence, who honor your spirit, who pray for you in private, you will know they are from Him. Because the chosen attract the chosen. Your tribe is not lost, they are being prepared just as you are. You will meet them on the other side of your healing. And together you will walk in purpose, no longer tied to what was but rooted in what is. Do not look back, chosen one. What God has removed was not meant to be part of your destiny. If you try to resurrect what heaven has buried, you will delay your promise. Trust the separation, trust the silence, trust the solitude. Because in this sacred season, God is not taking from you. He is making you. You are being shaped for something so divine, so holy, that only solitude could prepare you for it. Every tear you've cried has watered the soil of your destiny. Every lonely night was a seed of strength planted in secret. Every heartbreak was a divine pruning. And now, as you stand in the stillness of your becoming, heaven whispers, "It had to be this way." You are not being punished for who you are. You are being prepared for who you're about to become. The separation is proof that God still has His hand on your life. Remember this. Those who left were never your source. Those who betrayed you were never your covering. Those who doubted you were never your foundation. They were tools used by God to push you deeper into Him. You were meant to walk through rejection so you could learn divine redirection. You were meant to experience loss so you could understand true love. The kind that does not leave, the kind that does not change, the kind that only comes from God. Chosen one, you are not meant to chase people, you are meant to chase purpose. You are not meant to fear solitude, you are meant to find sanctuary in it. You are not meant to dwell on who left, you are meant to focus on who's calling you higher. This is not the end of your story. It is the unveiling of your true self. The separation was the key that unlocked your destiny. You had to lose them to find yourself. You had to be emptied to be filled with divine strength. So rise, chosen soul. Step into your new season with courage. Walk with quiet confidence, knowing that you are walking under divine order. Every person who left cleared the stage for what God is about to do through you. You are not the same. You are wiser, purer, and stronger. You have learned that solitude with God is far more fulfilling than company without purpose. You have learned that peace is the greatest companion, and purpose is the greatest reward. And when people ask you how you survived the separation, you will smile softly and say, "Because I finally stopped fighting God's will. I stopped chasing what was never meant for me. I surrendered to the pruning and I bloomed in His presence." That is what happens when the chosen one accepts divine separation. They evolve into vessels of pure light. So don't you dare shrink back. Don't you dare doubt your worth because of who walked away. Don't you dare think that being alone means being unloved. The Creator Himself has surrounded you with unseen armies of angels. Heaven knows your name. The universe bends to your obedience. You were separated because you are sacred. You were isolated because you are destined. And one day soon, when you stand before the doors that only your name can open, you will look back on the pain that once broke you and realize it was the very thing that built you. You will whisper, "Thank you, God, for every separation, every silence, every closed door, because they all led me here." And heaven will smile, because the chosen one finally understands divine separation was never loss, it was love. And even now, as your heart still aches with the memory of faces that faded from your story, understand this truth: God has not forgotten a single detail of your journey. Every departure was recorded, every silent cry was heard, every unanswered question was met with divine understanding. The pain that once made you tremble in the night was not wasted. It was a sacred conversation between your soul and your Creator. You were not left behind, you were handpicked for refinement. You were pulled out of certain environments because the soil could no longer nourish your roots. God had to transplant you into a new atmosphere, one that would challenge you, stretch you, and prepare you to bear fruit that would last. You see, divine purpose cannot grow in contaminated soil. You cannot blossom in the same garden that once buried your spirit. So God in His love uprooted you, and though it hurt, it saved you. The chosen often feel the sting of isolation because their calling carries the weight of divine distinction. You were never created to blend in, you were created to transform. The separation was not to punish you, it was to protect your purity of purpose. You carry an assignment that demands silence, prayer, and sensitivity to the whispers of heaven. You cannot hear divine strategy if your ears are filled with the noise of the world. God quieted your surroundings so you could finally hear the melody of His plan. Every person who walked out created more room for His presence to walk in. Every voice that silenced itself gave space for His word to echo louder. The empty spaces are not voids. They are invitations for God to dwell deeper within you. There will come a time when you no longer mourn the people who left, because you will finally see how heavy they were. You will realize how much peace you lost trying to carry those who refused to grow. You will remember how often you dimmed your fire to keep them warm. You will see how often you silenced your voice to make them comfortable. But the chosen are not meant to shrink. You were born to expand, to rise, to evolve. And every separation was the push you needed to unfold your wings. Do not weep for what God removed, rejoice for what He revealed. Because when He stripped away the unnecessary, He showed you what was eternal: His hand, His love, His plan. Sometimes God will empty your circle so He can fill your spirit. He will allow you to be misunderstood, mislabeled, even mocked. Not because He wants you broken, but because He wants you built. The chosen must be tested in obscurity before they are trusted with influence. You cannot stand on great stages if you cannot stand in secret pain. You cannot lead nations if you cannot lead yourself through the wilderness. That is why separation is sacred. It is God's way of saying, "I am preparing you for something that eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and hearts cannot yet imagine." You are being trained for divine impact, and that kind of preparation requires silence, stillness, and surrender. You will begin to notice that the more you grow, the quieter your life becomes. You will crave peace more than applause. You will desire truth more than comfort. You will find yourself letting go of people, habits, and desires that once defined you. That is not you losing yourself. That is you becoming yourself. The chosen do not need to chase validation. They move with revelation. You will stop explaining your calling to those who were never meant to understand it. You will stop trying to prove your worth to people who cannot see your value, Because you will finally realize that divine purpose is not voted on by people, it is sealed by God. And though your journey may look lonely, it is never empty. There are angels walking beside you. There is grace flowing within you. There is a fire burning in your soul that will not be quenched by disappointment or delay. You are not walking alone, you are walking under divine escort. Heaven knows where you are and why you had to be separated. The silence around you is not abandonment. It is the sound of construction. God is rebuilding you, reshaping you, refining you. The foundation of your old self had cracks in it, and he could not build eternity on instability. So he tore down the old and began anew. You are being reconstructed into something unshakable. There will be nights when you feel the ache of old attachments tug at your heart, when memories whisper like ghosts reminding you of what once was. Do not turn back. Do not reopen what God has sealed. You are being called higher. You are being called deeper. You are being called forward. Every step you take in faith is a declaration that you trust His wisdom more than your wounds. Every tear that falls in surrender is a seed of strength that heaven waters. You may not see the harvest yet, but it is coming, slowly, quietly, beautifully. One day you will wake up, and peace will no longer feel like a stranger. Joy will no longer feel like a visitor. You will breathe and realize that you are free. Not because everything returned to how it was, but because you no longer need it to. The chosen do not find peace in the familiar, they find peace in the divine unknown. They learn to dance with uncertainty, to make friends with the silence, to walk boldly into the places where they once trembled. You will reach a point where your spirit no longer aches for who left, but blesses them. Because you will see that even their absence served your purpose. You will thank them, not because they were faithful, but because their departure revealed your resilience. You will understand that forgiveness is not about inviting them back. It is about releasing yourself forward. When you forgive, you untie yourself from what can no longer hold you. You stop living in the echoes of yesterday and step into the music of today. And as your light grows stronger, do not be surprised if more people drift away. Some will not recognize the version of you that healing created. They will miss the version of you that tolerated their chaos. But let them go. Let them release themselves into their own lessons. You cannot dim your transformation to comfort their stagnation. The chosen are not meant to shrink to fit inside other people's fears. You are called to expand, to stretch, to rise. And that rise will naturally create distance from those who refuse to ascend. Do not apologize for evolving. The butterfly owes no apology to the cocoon that could no longer contain it. And one day, when the world finally sees you standing in your purpose, walking in divine authority, glowing with peace that surpasses understanding, they will wonder how you did it. They will ask where your strength came from, and you will tell them, I was separated, I was crushed, I was alone. But in that loneliness I met God, and that meeting changed everything. Because separation is not the end, it is the beginning of divine intimacy. When the crowd leaves, Christ comes closer. When the noise fades, His voice grows louder. When all you have left is Him, you realize that He is all you ever needed. The chosen do not need a multitude to feel mighty. Their power flows from divine connection, not human affirmation. They move in quiet strength rooted in the certainty that God does not make mistakes. You are one of them. You are handpicked to carry light into dark places, to break cycles that bound generations before you, to speak life where death once ruled. That kind of assignment cannot be birthed in comfort. It must be forged in solitude. That is why your path has been so different. That is why your heart has been so heavy. Because you are carrying something that requires divine shaping. You are being prepared to walk in rooms where your silence will carry authority, where your presence will shift atmospheres, where your faith will move mountains. So, chosen soul, stop mourning what you lost and start preparing for what's coming. The separation was necessary to make room for glory. The loneliness was training for leadership. The pain was sharpening your discernment. You are now sensitive to the voice of God in ways you never were before. You can feel His nudges, sense His timing, discern His whispers. You have been trained in the language of heaven. That is what divine separation does. It teaches you fluency in faith. Do not rush your re-entry. Do not try to rebuild what God burned. Stay in His rhythm. Move when He moves. Wait when He waits. For in His timing everything will align. The right people will appear. Those who match your maturity, honor your anointing, and value your vision. The right doors will open. Those that require no manipulation, no striving, no compromise. The right opportunities will unfold, effortlessly, gracefully, divinely. You will see how every delay was protection, how every no was direction, how every goodbye was grace. And when that moment comes, you will no longer doubt the wisdom of your separation. You will stand with tears of gratitude and say, God, thank you for loving me enough to take me away from what would have destroyed me. Thank you for trusting me enough to be alone with you. Thank you for pruning me until I could finally bear fruit worthy of your glory. That will be your song, not of sorrow, but of sacred victory. Because you, chosen one, were never meant to be ordinary. You were not created to fit into the mold of comfort. You were designed to shake the earth with your obedience, to shift generations with your faith, to shine in places where others gave up. And that kind of light cannot be developed among the crowd. It must be ignited in solitude. So embrace your separation. Wear your loneliness as your crown. Walk with quiet authority, knowing that heaven has chosen you for something extraordinary. You may walk alone for a while, but you walk with God. And that is more than enough. The people who left did not diminish your worth, they revealed it. The doors that closed did not stop your destiny, they redirected it. The silence that once frightened you has become your sanctuary. You have been transformed by divine design, and soon the world will see what heaven already knows. That separation was not the breaking of your story, it was the making of your soul. So stand tall, chosen one. The very isolation that once hurt you has become your armor. You are walking into a season where everything you lost will return multiplied, purified, sanctified. You are not the same, and you were never meant to be. You are the living proof that when God separates, He also elevates, and through it all, you will find that the greatest miracle was not what He took away. It was what He birthed within you when you were finally alone with Him. And there will come a day when you look back on all that once felt unbearable. The nights that drenched your pillow in tears, the mornings when your heart felt too heavy to rise, the seasons where silence felt like punishment. And you will see it differently. You will see that God was never absent, He was architecting. He was designing a path so divine that only your surrender could unlock it. Every loss was a layer of your old self being peeled away, making room for the truest version of you to emerge. The version unafraid to walk alone, unafraid to shine without applause, unafraid to trust what cannot be seen. And when that day comes, you will smile through the memory of pain, because you will know that what once tried to destroy you was actually building you, molding you into someone the world could not break again. Chosen one, this is the mystery of divine separation. It strips you until you have nothing left but God, and then it blesses you with everything you were ever meant to have. But by then, you are no longer the same. You no longer crave what you once begged for. You no longer chase the things that once defined your worth. You have learned the sacred rhythm of release. You have learned that when God takes, He also transforms. And that transformation births an unshakable peace. It is the kind of peace that does not depend on who stays or who leaves. It does not depend on how many friends you have or how much validation you receive. It is the peace that comes from knowing that you are exactly where you're meant to be, doing exactly what you were born to do, even if no one claps for you. That peace, that holy stillness, is the reward of the chosen. You will begin to walk differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance. You will not need to defend your calling. Your consistency will speak louder than your explanations. You will not need to announce your growth. Your peace will reveal it. You will stop running after those who could not see your value, because you now understand that their blindness was not your burden. You will no longer chase doors that were closed, because you've learned that the doors God opens cannot be shut by human hands. You will move in quiet power, led not by fear but by faith, because separation did not destroy you, it refined you. And when God finally brings you into the fullness of what He promised, when the visions that once seemed impossible become the life you are living, you will finally understand why you had to walk alone for so long. The solitude was your schooling. The silence was your strength training. The emptiness was your preparation for abundance. You will realize that the separation was not random. It was surgical. God removed what could not heal with you. He took away what could not go with you. He allowed distance so that destiny could take shape. The wilderness you once feared became the workshop of your becoming. You see, chosen souls are not forged in comfort. They are shaped in fire. The flames that others ran from are the same flames that purified you. You were never fragile, you were being refined. Every betrayal that made you question your worth was carving depth into your compassion. Every heartbreak that left you trembling was softening your heart for higher love. Every loss that felt unbearable was teaching you how to carry heaven's weight. You are stronger because of what you survived, wiser because of what you endured, and freer because of what you released. The world may not understand your journey, but heaven celebrates it. There are things that only those who have walked through divine separation can understand. The language of silence, the beauty of solitude, the strength that comes from surrender. You have learned to sit with yourself and find God there. You have learned that stillness is not weakness, it is power contained. You have learned that waiting is not wasting, it is preparation in disguise. You have learned that every time God pulls you away, He is drawing you closer to something greater. That is why you no longer panic when people leave. Because you know now that their exit might be your elevation. You no longer fight when seasons shift. Because you've seen that God only removes what could block your blessing. You no longer beg to belong. Because you've realized that you were never created to fit in, you were born to stand out. And in this awareness a new strength awakens. It is not loud. It is not boastful. It is quiet, steady, eternal. It is the kind of strength that carries grace in its silence and power in its humility. You begin to walk with a knowing, not the knowing of pride but of peace. You start to see that everything that left was making space for what's coming. You stop questioning the pruning because you trust the gardener. You stop mourning closed doors because you believe in divine timing. You stop fighting loneliness because you've discovered intimacy with the one who never leaves. This is what happens when the chosen one stops resisting separation and starts embracing surrender. Their life becomes a symphony of divine alignment. The people who once overlooked you will one day look for you, and you will not greet them with bitterness. You will greet them with grace. Because the chosen are not vindictive. They are vessels of mercy. You will understand that those who hurt you were simply mirrors showing you where you still needed healing. You will thank them silently for their role in your awakening. For without their rejection, you would not have learned divine acceptance. Without their silence, you would not have learned divine stillness. Without their distance, you would not have found divine direction. God used their absence to draw you into His arms. What they took away He replaced with Himself. And that is the greatest miracle of all. That in losing others you found the one who will never lose you. You found the anchor that holds even when the storms rage. You found the hand that never lets go. You found love that doesn't leave when you're unlovable. Peace that doesn't fade when the world shifts. Strength that doesn't waver when you are weak. That is what separation gives birth to. Divine intimacy. You stop chasing what cannot fulfill and start dwelling in what never runs out. You stop reaching outward for validation and start looking inward for revelation. You realize that everything you were seeking in others was hidden in God all along. So now, when loneliness visits you again, you will no longer fear it. You will welcome it like an old friend, because you know it carries messages from heaven. You will sit with your solitude and find poetry in it, purpose in it, peace in it. You will no longer fill your quiet with noise. You will fill it with gratitude. Gratitude that you were chosen for this kind of transformation. Gratitude that you survived what was meant to break you. Gratitude that God trusted you enough to walk this path alone. Because to be chosen means to be trusted. And God trusted you to carry a story that would inspire others to hold on when everything falls apart. Your testimony is being written in the ink of endurance. And one day, someone standing where you once stood, broken, confused, wondering why they've lost everyone they loved, will hear your story and find the courage to keep going. They will see the light in your eyes and realize that separation is not the end. It is the invitation. They will see how you turned your isolation into intimacy with God, how you turned your tears into wisdom, how you turned your pain into purpose. They will understand through you that divine separation is not punishment. It is protection, preparation, and positioning. You will become living proof that what God removes, He replaces with something greater. You will be a walking testament that solitude births strength, that rejection redirects destiny, that silence sings the loudest songs of the soul. And when that moment comes, you will finally whisper, not in sorrow but in sacred certainty, God separated me from those people for a reason, and now I understand why. You will no longer ask Him to bring them back. You will thank Him for letting them go, because through their absence, you met your true self, the chosen one who no longer fears the wilderness, because she has found God in the wind, the whisper, and the waiting. And now you walk forward not as the wounded, but as the warrior, not as the abandoned, but as the anointed, not as the forgotten, but as the favored. You walk in the quiet assurance that everything you lost led you to everything you are. The people who left did not take your destiny with them. The places you outgrew did not rob you of your promise. The pain that once hollowed you out has become the very vessel through which God pours His glory. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And this becoming, this divine transformation born from separation, will be the story the world remembers you for. Because chosen ones are not defined by who left, they are defined by how they rose. And rise, you will, higher than you've ever been, brighter than you've ever shone, stronger than you've ever imagined. The same God who separated you is now sending you. The same